always start our meetings with thanking for everything that the Creator has given us. And it's first of all greeting the people that everybody's here and well and come here safely, and that everybody is in a peaceful mind. And we thank the Mother Earth for all the things that she's doing and that she's still doing, her duties that's been given to her, and all the things that's on Mother Earth, all the plants, the animals, the birds, the waters, all the things that we have planted, the medicines. We give all thanks and acknowledge all those that's been just set down here for us to use, and to use in a good way, and to respect those things and appreciate those things that has been given to us. And so then we thank the things that have, in the sky world. We thank the thunders, which bring the rains and wash the earth. We thank the sun, which brings the warmth and the light to the earth. The moon, who has her duties of regulating the cycle for the women and bringing children. The stars, which a long time ago our people knew could go by the stars. And we use them to travel and to set our ceremonies. We thank, we have these four, I guess we call them protectors, that watch over us as we wander on the earth because of all the dangers that are there, and they help guide us and protect us as we roam about earth. We give thanks to one of the last messages that we received, that has enabled us to continue with our ceremonies and live in these two worlds. And that's Handsome Lake, we call Shenandoah, so we give him a special honor for bringing us this message to help our people continue our ceremonies. And I end up with giving thanks to the Creator for all the things that He's given us, and that He still loves us, and He still sends His love to us. So it's and all those things that we talk about that sometimes we take for granted sometimes, and we forget to be thankful of all the things that we have, especially with the things that's been given to us to survive, but also we can't forget our families and the people and the friends that we have around us, and the people we're involved with every day, to help one another, get along with one another. And I think that's what's been told to us by our leaders. Our messages was all about getting along with one another and respecting one another. Thank you.
Welcome again. My name is Phil Arnold. I teach in the religion department at Syracuse University, and this night has been a long time in planning, and it's great to see so many people here that have been really active in this series of events. I just want to do a short introduction to why why various groups at Syracuse, around Syracuse, wanted this series of events to happen. It's really to bring together the greater Syracuse community with the Onondaga Nation to foster some kind of intercultural learning and understanding in light of recent events. It's important also to mention that of the, 550 some native nations throughout North America, only 3 are still governed by their ancient ceremonial processes, and one of those is the Onondaga Nation. And it's not often that people get to acknowledge that. Certainly in my classes, it's not something that students readily know about. So we have here in Syracuse a real opportunity to connect with some ancient wisdom and to begin to appreciate what kind of possibilities that are maybe around the corner here in this area. Also, I'd like to mention that there's a lot of people all over the world that are interested in the Onondaga Nation and what's going to happen with this recent land rights action that was filed almost a year ago now. Me and my family we had the opportunity to accompany a delegation from the Onondaga Nation to Japan. And as many of you already know, they travel on their own passports, and that was a complicated process. But what was really remarkable was how much the Japanese already knew about the Haudenosaunee and about the Onondaga Nation, and how warmly the Japanese received the delegation, how they were really sort of up to speed on things like we'll be talking about, like the relationship between the Haudenosaunee and the women's rights movement, and the relationship between the Haudenosaunee and the development of democracy. So much so that this last August, a Japanese delegation came back here to Syracuse to meet with the Onondaga Nation to acknowledge what they saw as the indigenous root of their own democratic system. So those kinds of things are not, part of the workaday world, and I just wanted to mention them as a way of introducing the series. Something else, too, in general, this series, which will be occurring over the next year, is a recognition that the Onondagas have extended their hand in seeking a healing of relationships and the earth through their land rights action filed last March. Our belief as organizers of this series is that significant education is needed for us to truly understand the issues and respond thoughtfully to the Onondagas. I wanted to read to you just briefly the introduction of this land rights action, because it's quite unique in terms of a legal document, and it's beautifully written. I don't know who did it, but it's a wonderful example of what the possibilities of the land rights action might be. The Onondaga people wish to bring about a healing between themselves and all others who live in this region that has been the homeland of the Onondaga Nation since the dawn of time. The nation and its people have a unique spiritual, cultural, and historic relationship with the land, which is embodied in the Great Law of Peace. This relationship goes far beyond federal and state legal concepts of ownership, possession, or legal rights. The people are one with the land and consider themselves stewards of it. It is the duty of the nation's leaders to work for a healing of this land, to protect it, and to pass it on to future generations. The Onondaga Nation brings this action on behalf of its people in the hope that it may hasten the process of reconciliation and bring lasting justice, peace, and respect among all who inhabit the area. Now I'd like to welcome Andy Major, who will bring us into the thank yous.
Greetings. It's wonderful to see so many people here, both familiar faces and folks who I haven't had the opportunity to meet. As Phil said, this is really a historic collaboration that's happened here in our community. The initiation came from neighbors of the Onondaga Nation, the organization that I work with, and we approached folks at Syracuse University and SUNY ESF and were surprised very pleasantly about the tremendous positive response So it grew from the idea of several months of a program to a full year, and we're really excited about that. All of the sponsors of this series are listed in your program, and there's too many for us to take the time to read them now, so I won't bother. But I do want to provide special thanks to the Student Environmental Action Coalition and Native American students at Syracuse who've played a particular role in organizing this first program. In addition, we thought it was important to acknowledge the other folks who were involved in the organizing committee, along with Phil and I'd like those folks to stand when I read your names, please. Linda Alkoff from Women's Studies, Sandra Barrett, University College, Nick Kavanaugh, Student Environmental Action Coalition, Rachel Hall from the Department of Communications and Rhetorical Studies, Regina Jones from the Office of Multicultural Affairs, Richard Loader from Native American Studies, and Jack Mano from ESF. So thank you to all of them. We've been working together since the summer to pull this series together. Syracuse Stage, and in particular Brian Crotty, who's one of the managers here, have played a particular role in welcoming us to this beautiful space and really appreciate their efforts. In addition, if you look up at this beautiful banner up here, and hopefully you've seen it on the posters as well, we have this wonderful logo that was produced for us specifically for this series by Mohawk artist Tracy Thomas, who's also here with us. And we want to thank Tracy. And Sid and Aubrey may talk more about some of these things, but the two-row wampum belt, which flows across the southern part of New York State, is really a critical part of understanding the kind of relationship that was originally established between the Haudenosaunee and Europeans who came to these shores. And we believe it's the kind of model that can help us move forward in a positive way with the land rights action that has been set before us. Also, Onondaga Lake, you can see, has been enlarged a little bit because it's a symbol which has great, deep historic significance for the Haudenosaunee and really can have, we hope, tremendous future significance for all of us in this community, and that coming together to restore Onondaga Lake can be part of the process of moving our region forward in a very important way. A couple of other thank yous to Francine Lyons and her family, who have done the refreshments for us, and to Tori Mendoza, who's coordinating videotaping for the event. We haven't completely figured it out, but there will be DVDs and videos available at some point. So when you come back to the second, well, I don't know if we'll have, yeah, by the second series, program in the series, we'll be able to give you a little more specifics about that. So thank you all for coming. Phil is going to come on back up and introduce our speakers, and we'll get right to the program tonight. Phil? Sid's going to bring you up.
Okay, great. So we're through the introductions. Tonight's speakers, there's an introduction to them in your program. If you didn't get one, there's some more outside. Audrey Shenandoah is a clan mother in the Onondaga Nation, and
excuse me.
yeah.
You're barely audible.
Sorry?
Look down, you're barely audible.
Oh, okay.
Look down there, just
Okay. All right. There's a guy back there who can fix it. I'll try to keep my head still. Audrey Shenandoah is a clan mother at the Onondaga Nation, and she's a world-renowned speaker. She's spoken at the UN. She's traveled with the Dalai Lama. She has a wonderful global perspective as well as local commitment to the area. The Tadadao Sid Hill is also well known to many of you. And I'll just let them take it away.
Oh, just like to welcome everybody here tonight. We seem to have a good crowd here, and good to see everybody. Get out of the cold here a little bit. We talking about the land rights action, and how we're ever since I was a child, I've always heard about our leaders and my family and everybody in the community about filing the land rights, and we've always heard about lease on Syracuse and all the history, and it was all kind of mixed up in there between family talks and doing ceremonies, and you know, my uncle was a previous Taradaho, so I always heard about all the discussion that was going on in council, and they would come into our homes and in our families and talking about one day going to court and seeing if we can seek justice in the system of that we don't have much. I guess I don't have much faith in myself, because we know we're not really part of that system. So it was we've heard about this, and I'm sure Audrey, all her life has heard about filing and going into court. So it was a big decision that I've heard all my life, and I guess it was time. I hope it was time to do this. We had I think some of the things that pushed us or kind of persuaded us to file this, and not so much for I guess not for damages, but just seeing what was going on in the world, more or less, and with all the problems with the environment, and here with the Onondaga Lake and our struggles over there, and all their solutions to cleaning it up, and I guess not being part of that, and we're always always say, well, it's Onondaga Lake, but we should be involved in it. We're Onondagas. There's water. It's important. There's medicines there. There's fish there. The animals use this. Our people used to use this. We should have some kind of input into our environment, as everybody should. So, and I guess that's what kind of pushed our leaders to say that maybe it would give us a voice in some of these kind of catastrophes that are going on in our environment, in our waters, in our lands, and in the air, in the air that we breathe. We've always had these concerns. We look at the health of our people, the things that our elders had that they talked about that we don't have, that we don't do. We hear about all their spearing fish and the things we used to do in the creeks and up along. And I have uncles who used to trap into the swamps. I hear of them stories. And those things are no longer done. And that's change. That's change with our people, what we do, how we get into the workforce, and now we're part of we're all part of that workforce too. We're getting away from our planting and some of the farming. So, you know, we've changed a lot too, but we've always tried to maintain some of our ways, our beliefs as much as we could, and tried to pass that on. Trying to retain our language, Onondaga language. We have a few elders left that still speak fluently. And we have a series of language programs on the nation, as in all the nations across New York and Canada, as far as the Haudenosaunee are trying to save these languages. So, and I think we kind of did this for the just the way things are going in the world. So when we talk about when we give Thanksgiving and when we mention all the things that have given to us, and we ask for things at certain times, but that's for everybody. It's not just for us. And everybody has that right to drink clean water, breathe clean air, and to be able to have a good place and a good, healthy place to live. And that should be everybody's concern. And if it was a way of addressing some of these things, of where we can be heard and where we can educate, and we can learn too. And we can learn can we fix these things? Can we do better things in the future? Do better ways, better. There's always room to learn, and what we teach our younger people in the future. So I think a lot of that was all these years of hearing the leaders talk about when this time would come, and we use it as a healing. And I say when we wanted to do something different than just looking for damages, money. You know, it's more than that. We can't undo them things, but we can do things better as two peoples, as all the people in the world. And this is just a small part of this Turtle Island and the whole world. And if we can educate and start maybe change the minds of this small area here, then I think it's worth it to try and do that. How successful we are is all depends on everybody, not just we don't put it all on one person, but we all have to start doing things differently and thinking about things differently. What's important? What's the future going to be? So as a chief, given that duty to look out for those what we call the faces that are still beneath the ground, and that's the future and the children. But I'd just like to let's hand over to Aubrey a little bit and have her say a little bit about.
Now, Scan, I would like to go back to the opening here of this meeting, and it tells me that we have come a long way in this educating one another and sharing with one another, in the acknowledgement at this time of this meeting tonight that we would have first the opening given by our leadership in our customary, traditional way, which has been handed down to us from generations, we don't know how many. So I'm very thankful for those of our friends and our relatives who have been working side by side with us for quite a number of years now, that they have come to understand that much of us, that this is how our people would begin a gathering. They know just by our dealings together that this is first whenever our people gather. And so I have to give thanks for all those people who have worked so hard by our sides to bring about an understanding, of the why for all of this claim, the why for all of these meetings that are going to be coming about with many other speakers, touching on different areas that I'm sure everyone has questions about, and some may know a little bit more about than others. But to me, personally, that is a big step to know and find out that our friends, our relatives, the people who have been working with us, acknowledge that this is the way we would begin a gathering of people. So thank you again for all those who have put their efforts into this meeting. As was said, our opening address is a thanksgiving, an acknowledgement, respectfully, for all that we appreciate in this living, for every minute, every moment of our lives, for every day, for every year of our lives. And when we think of it day by day or moment by moment, sometimes we have more than one meeting or gathering during a day, during a single day. And we go through this for how many gatherings there might have to be in a certain time, in a certain day. But to realize that we can give thanks is what is the main thing that has been handed down to our people. And our people were persecuted for hanging on to these beliefs. Our people have suffered persecution down through the years for persevering, for hanging on, and for being steady and strong. Because there were times after the new people came to this land with many new things that made life much easier, it would seem. Didn't take much time to do the things that we would do ordinarily. Well, we still do those things, and sometimes our people use now today's inventions so that we don't have people standing for hours pounding the corn for our ceremonies, and also the stoves with their gas and electricity, excuse me, can cook up the things that take time. They're not really hard to do, but everything takes time, much, much more time when we do things the old way. So while we can give thanks every day that we still have the old things, the old ways, the old ceremonies, and some of our people use the newer kinds of machinery and that industry has brought, it has been a time for our people that has always been that battle of keeping on to our ways and trying to pass on to the young people the importance of the old ways. In the times when the new things came to our people and things were easier to do and changes came about very quickly. Those who clung to the traditional ways and who wanted to keep those traditional ways and who lived for carrying on those traditional ways, spiritual ways, had to hide in the bush because when they were persecuted by even our own people now, who had been led to believe that another way, almost any way, was better than the way that our ancestors believed in following, in the way that was given to them from the beginning of our time. And from the beginning of our time, giving thanks was the first in our history. The ceremonies that we do were given first in our history. The ways to give thanks for everything that we use in order to survive, in order to live in our daily lives. And so, as was gone through this evening, our Thanksgiving address begins with our Mother Earth. Excuse me, it doesn't begin with the Mother Earth. It begins with the people. We give thanks for the people that we can gather together in this way. And then from the Mother Earth to all that grows from the earth and everything that comes from what is called the creation. In our language, Dadi, doesn't really translate exactly into English. It takes a whole explanation of what the whole holistic meaning of those words, those old words, the meanings of them as we give thanks. And so those people who took to the bush in order to hang on and in order to pass on our traditions were really very, very strong people, honorable people, and we honor them. We honor them again very, very close to this time. The moon has changed, and we have a ceremony that will give thanks and honor and acknowledge all those ancestors who stood against, I have to say, who stood against evil, because that's what it was, and that's what it has been, in order to carry on the ceremonies. So we have a great ceremony in all of our longhouses. Now, none of this is strictly Onondaga. All of this belongs to all the Haudenosaunee people. And we all do our ceremonies in our respective times in our longhouses. And so now we're all preparing for this next one, which comes and specifically acknowledges, gives thanks and respect to those ancient ones. And we don't know how far back, how long ago was, that they stood up and stood strong for what they believed in, for what they had been given in our language. They were given to us from our Creator, and that's why they have lasted. They have not had to be changed. They have not had to go through a lot of renovation to suit the times that we are living, but we are supposed to be strong enough, have learned that discipline to be able to change whatever it is we are involved in at the time in order to in order to go by that old way. And There's much repetition in what we do, much repetition in our daily times, in our seasonal ceremonies, and in all that we do. And that repetition is intentional. So that what transpires, the words that are said, the addresses that are made, would become a part of your person, which is what happens to people who will listen and who will have the open mind, open heart, and the spiritual connection to all what is called those old things. I remember people saying that we can't live in the new life without remembering and using the old things, because that's what can make us able to withstand the things that we must withstand in the new life. And it might sound confusing in words, in English words, but it's very true. So much of our time, our times within our own nation, when we have had to rely, and we still do, rely on those old ways, rely on those ancients for help in dealing with the issues that come about in our new life, in our new ways, in the changing world. We have to live with the changes and still be able to be ourselves, still be able to hang on to that spiritual part of our being, which makes us strong, which makes us who we are, and which makes us able to face the issues. We've been through many, many times in Onondaga when the new times would bring about issues that would really excite many, many people, excite most of the people. Oh, we gotta do this, it's gonna be better for us, it's gonna do so much more for us. And our leadership, men and women, have had to stand, make the stand, hold that position, that no, in the long run, it is not what we need. Big difference between our needs and our wants from the very beginning. Excuse me. So the needs and wants of every people are the very same. The very same light should be used, the very same light should be shed on our needs and our wants as we look at our daily lives and we look at what we are doing with our time here on this earth. So we are very thankful for the, I'll call them noon, people who have come for quite a number of years now to our side in our difficult times. And they have been able, the majority of them, to catch on and to understand that spiritual side of ourselves that takes the positions that we must take on the issues in this changing world. So this land rights, the claim, I have heard about, I'll say 70 years, because as soon as I could begin to comprehend what I was hearing, what people were talking about, this was in their talk, this was in their discussions, that so much of this land would someday, and the waters and the hills would someday be, justice would come about, and the lands would be dealt with in a fair and just way. They never said that we're going to run over these people. I never heard anybody say that. I never heard anybody say, oh, we're going to take that all away from them. I never heard that either in all of my life. At least not from the people that I was listening to. There are people who are out for that other side of the other kinds of gains in their claims. But I never heard that. I have heard our people discussing since I was very little, all my growing years. They had different times when they would raise money. And raising money in those times was a pretty big job. They would cook and make food and sell food and meat, and put a couple pennies in when they would meet, trying to make enough money to make this claim, land claim that was. And there have been times when they came pretty close to talking like they were ready to settle a claim for certain amounts of money. Now this is Haudenosaunee I'm talking about. They were working toward a claim. And but there were always, and I can remember one chief especially, and his voice would just boom inside that little longhouse. And he would say, no, we cannot do this. And he wouldn't let them think of it as any other way than selling the land, selling out their rights to the land. And I can remember the time when the lawyer was there and his secretary and a couple of other people who were very much interested in the claim. But I can remember that they were not actually involved in it at that time. And he was asked, they just seemed to have come to a point where they were ready to settle for this great big 80 million acres, is it? I can't remember now the amount of land, but the major part of New York State. And he got right up from his place where he sat, and he walked over to the lawyer, because the lawyer had not been answering the question that was being asked of him. And he asked him, now if we sign for you to go ahead with this claim, are we still going to be the title holders of our lands? And the lawyer could not answer that yes, we would still be the title holders. I was very young at that time, but I remember it very clearly. And so that was the end of him. And that was the end of that claim. So there have been other people who have tried at different times to bring about a claim, but this particular land rights claim has been in the talking stages for many, many years. And I can remember when they had graph paper out, for everyone to see while they marked out what were the claim areas. of the Haudenosaunee claims. And the Haudenosaunee had never made the boundaries. The boundaries had always been made by other than the people. And so this they had to work out. And the people themselves, the leadership themselves, were able to talk and get the understanding to the people that we're not drawing lines like this, and this is ours, this is theirs, and that. And many, many discussions, many years of discussion in order to make it right, in order to make the land rights claim so that it was not going to be hurting anyone, so that it was going to bring about justice, so that it was going to bring about people being able to live together, which is what the original treaties of our people said. The what they call in English the Turo Wampum was the original people of our peoples between the newcomers and our people who inhabited the land. And within that treaty explains really everything that the other treaties could be explained by if they were lived up to. And many of our people here tonight, I know, are supporters or understanding of our claims and our peoples. Within this agreement, this Turo Wampum, it was an agreement that they made so that the people could live together, so that they could coexist in this land, and each would be respectful of the other. Each would be fair to the other, and they would be like brothers. They would be a brotherhood. For within this original treaty, neither one of the peoples involved could be making judgment or could be doing things that would hurt and override their brothers. They were like in two separate vessels, our people in the canoe and the newcomers were in their big boat. And the laws of each were to be kept within their own vessel. We would keep our own laws, our own ways, our own peoples. They would keep their own laws, their own ways, and their own people. And neither one of these could make judgment over the other. And of course, that's what has happened. That law has, that treaty, that original treaty, has been in most places just ignored, overlooked. And I can remember in my times as Secretary of the Haudenosaunee, every time a group, a delegation was sent to Washington, D.C. to talk to congressmen and those in power down there. This Turo Wampum was taken and it was explained to them. Of course, every time a new voting time came about, many of those people were unseated and new ones came in. So the next time our people went down to talk try to resolve an issue. Again, the whole thing had to be repeated. And it was just something that they never bothered to research, to investigate, to find out about, to learn about it, to understand it. So that makes a very, very challenging time for our people for all time, because that is not abiding by the original treaty. Now, in our claim, our land rights claim, we have no intention of causing harm or pain to another people, like our people have suffered in the past. That would not be right. And what would be right in the eyes of our Creator has been kept in mind as these discussions have been going on through the years. And actually, it's justice that we are seeking. Justice for the whole creation, for the animal life. Their habitat are being destroyed unmercifully, for the bird life, for plant life, for the woodlands, everything that we give thanks for in our opening address and our closing address, are very seriously thought of and considered as we talked or discussed these treaties. The feelings, the spiritual connections have all been utilized in building this land rights action. And as I said, it's been many, many years in the making, and the feeling is that it was just about time before all of creation goes into oblivion or extinction. Because whatever befalls the rest of the creation is going to befall the human also. We're told in our way that in this cycle of the great creation, every bit of that creation gives and gives and gives continually. And we are in that cycle. We are one of them. And we are the only component of that great cycle who are taking and taking and taking. So we must give thanks. That is what our mandate is, to be thankful, to acknowledge all the rest of that cycle, and to give back our thanks, to give back our acknowledgement means that we would treat them right, that we would treat them well, that we would treat ourselves as well. So it's a great big spiritual connection that goes on within the creation that we have put into the thoughts, into the discussions of this land rights action. And we don't want to feel that we are going to be depriving any other living thing, any people, or any of the other inhabitants of this creation, that we are actually responsible for keeping, for taking care of. So, within the Onondaga Nation, We are, I don't know, about 1,200 people, huh? Just south of the city here. And we have historically, you've probably read it, the Onondagas have been historically the least aggressive, the more humble, or we try to be humble, and the least prone to advancing onto all the new things that come about in the industrial world or in this world of technology now. And the reasons for it is within our ceremonies. Remind us, like the opening address, reminds us of what our relationship should be to all of these other components of the creation that we live off of. So all of that has come into the discussions. All of that has played a major role, a major part of the discussions of our people. And I start to say we are about roughly 1,200 people in our community. And I would say that more than half of our people adhere still to our traditional way, to our longhouse way. We have within our community 5 Christian churches, and we have those who come into the city for their denomination doesn't have a mission on our land. So of those, the other nearly half, I can't say thirds or fourths because it's no straight line. People who attend those Christian churches at the same time attend our traditional ways. They acknowledge and they respect the leadership. They know who the leadership of our nation are and have been continually. And they realize, even though individuals choose to seek personal gain, that happens all over. That's humanity, I guess. The majority of our people at Onondaga look to our traditional leadership and our traditional ways, our ceremonies. Some of the most remote families that you would think send their children, and their children have brought their grandparents. And even just for the need when they grow up out of their childhood to have a name, because they were never given a name, which is done in our traditional way. Babies are given their names, and everyone should have one.